These 3 restorative yoga poses that we'll practice together are great for shifting your perspective on a situation and also flipping your energy from dull to alert. Namaste, I'm Caren, and thanks for joining me for this restorative yoga practice. Before we begin, you'll need to collect 2 yoga blocks. Also, please do not practice this sequence if you have sciatica, disc issues, a pulled hamstring, or you have sinus pressure or a cold. Traditionally, when we come out of these poses, it's recommended to stand up. However, we will stay low to the ground today to prevent any dizziness. Let's get started in Salamba Uttanasana, supported standing forward bend. Arrive on your mat with your feet hip distance apart. Collect your blocks in front of you. Take your hands to your hips and lower toward your legs. If you notice that once you start to lower here, your heart is much higher than mine. For example, you're more parallel to the ground or higher. I highly recommend getting a chair in front of you that you can grab onto. Otherwise, if you're okay to fold, grab your blocks, bend your knees to make this easier, and we'll stack the blocks to meet the head. In other words, we're not seeking a stretch here. We're seeking support, bringing the ground up to us. So bring the blocks closer toward the forehead where the hairline is and lower your head toward that support. Build it up just as much as you need, keeping a soft bend in your knees and allowing your hands to come toward the ground for steadiness. Alternatively, if you are holding onto a chair, hold on to the back of the chair and allow the spine to unfurl forward with a soft bend in your knees. After a few breaths here, you might notice some heaviness onto the forehead, an indication that the hamstrings are loosening. Remember, there is no goal, just support. So allow yourself to become a little bit looser through your legs, through your hands, noticing that the weight is in the middle of the feet, not the heels or all the way into the toes. Let's build an even breath here, breathing in for a count of 4. And breathing out for a count of 4. Inhale, Samavriti Pranayama, equal breathing. And exhale when you're ready. Soften your jaw as you continue to breathe. If you're noticing that you have more space in your hamstrings and it feels okay to lengthen the legs back, do so gently, but keep the weight forward into the center of the feet. Take one more round of equal breathing. And now as you exhale, release the breath and just easily inhale. Lift your head away from the blocks or from the chair. Set the blocks to the side. Walk the hands forward. Set the knees down to the ground. Widen the knees, touch the toes, and lower the forehead into child's pose. Completely loosen through the legs and through the upper body. Now inhale and walk yourself back up to tabletop. Sit down for a moment as we transition into our second posture, which is Salamba Prasarita Padottanasana, standing wide-legged forward bend. You'll again need your blocks, or if you were holding onto the edge of a chair, you'll do the same thing here, except the legs are wide instead of underneath us. So come again with your feet to plant, and then walk the legs wide. Reach your arms out for a moment and notice where your wrists are. Can your feet come directly underneath the wrists? And then you'll set the hands back down. Reach for your blocks if you're using them. And again, stack them up so that the forehead is supported. Move them so that they're right below the forehead where the hairline meets the blocks. You'll find some length through your spine and again have access with your hands to touch the ground. Now, if you're not using the blocks and you're just holding on to the edge of a chair, then the forehead will just sort of hang in space. Again, the goal is not to seek the stretch. But as you arrive, if you feel a bit unsteady, you may like to walk the feet closer in toward one another or farther out, just to find that space where the pelvis can soften and the forehead can lightly be held against the props, or the hands have an effortless hold on the chair. Bring the hips right in line with the ankles, not far behind them or far forward, so that you feel an evenness arrive as if the weight is in the middle of your mat. Now, over time, because we've done the first pose, you might find that you have more space to lower your head. So experiment now. Maybe I can take the block to a lower height and see if that supports me more. Again, the goal is not the stretch. The goal is to find support and effortlessness. So if you are fighting yourself to hold up here, prop your head higher. And this time, as we continue to breathe, we'll change up the exhale a little bit. So take an inhale to a count of 4. And exhale to count of 4. Now inhale. And simply exhale, releasing the count and intuitively allowing the breath to become steady and even. On your next exhale, pause the breath in the middle, hold it for 3 counts, and then exhale and empty the rest. Then full, smooth breath in. Begin the exhale. Halfway through the exhale, pause and hold for 3 counts. And then exhale the rest of the way. Last round like this. Inhale fully. Exhale, pause in the middle. Hold for 3. Exhale and empty the rest of the way. Now simply breathe easily and smoothly. This is our last round of breath. As you catch your next inhale, plant into your hands and lift your head, your chest away from the blocks if you have them. Set them off to the side. Bend into your knees and walk your feet in. Keep your legs together this time. Reach your arms around behind you and rest in embryo. Inhale smoothly and plant into your hands in front of you so that you can rise. Once you come back to a seat, take a few moments, if it's comfortable, to sit on your heels just to stay here. Soften the shoulders downward. And now we'll stretch and support ourselves in our last restorative pose shape, supported downward facing dog, or Salamba Adho Mukha Svanasana. You'll need the blocks for this as well, as we'll attempt to support the forehead, just as we've been doing this whole time. So reach your arms forward and bring your blocks closer in toward you. You might have to find out as you go what the best stack of the blocks is for you. So start with both, and you can always take one away. Then plant your hands and walk your knees backward. Curl your toes and begin to lift your hips up, keeping the knees bent. Try not to overextend through the legs or the hips toward the ceiling, and just begin to elongate through the arms. Now, the blocks will come toward you, toward your forehead, and your forehead will start to lower, not to meet the blocks, but so that the blocks can come up to meet your forehead. So you can always come down to your knees as you set this up, if it's not helpful to only be existing weight onto one hand at a time. So feel free to readjust as necessary, and then lightly take your forehead down toward the blocks. The trunk will want to dump down to the blocks, so lift up through the rib cage, spread the legs backward. We'll stay here for only about 5 breaths. Your own pace, letting each one be unique, finding gentle support from the props on the head. Last breath in. And breathe out. Set your knees down. Move the blocks to the side. And let's stretch the legs long in front of us. And windshield wiper out through the knees and the feet back and forth. Now come to have a seat cross-legged. And take the hands together at your heart. With a tall spine, close the eyes. And bring your entire attention into your head space. How does it feel? What's the experience here of your upper chest and your head? Soften through your eyes. And just become aware of any perspective that has shifted, any felt sense of energy that has changed. Together, may we realize that all things are temporary and that we have the power to change our perspective on them so that we suffer less. I honor your light. Namaste. If you enjoyed these restorative yoga poses, give this video a like and share it with a friend who also could benefit from a shift in perspective. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more yoga and meditation videos. Thanks for your presence. I'll see you next time.